Yo, what's up? What's going on? What's good? This is your boy Dowayne bringing out another video. In today's video, we're going to be doing a review of the Canon R6 Mark II from my perspective as a wedding photographer. Now, y'all know I switched from Sony back to Canon, and honestly, that's alright. This camera is for professionals, enthusiasts, hobbyists, content creators, and just people that want to take pictures of their kids or do little reels or stuff on TikTok. It don't matter. However you use the camera is how you use the camera. It's what you do with it is what matters. If you're new here, my name is Dowayne Jr. I'm a wedding photographer and wedding videographer in South Florida, and I travel all over the state of Florida for my couples. Now, we can talk about ergonomics all day. We all know that Canon cameras feel good in the hand. The overall feel of it is amazing, and it's real comfortable to my hand, and my pinky sits on the camera perfectly. Whereas with the A7 IV, it was like kind of like off because the camera was small. I don't think I have big hands, but you know, that camera is more boxy, and this camera is more I want to say like circular, like round, like an iPhone basically. I like how they changed up the layout of the camera and the dials. This is what they should have done in the first place, but it's a great change overall. The photo and video mode are separate on the dial, and the settings don't carry over, which that's for all Canon cameras. Whereas with Sony, if you put your video in C-Log 2, it carries over to your photo, and now you got to go back and change the picture profile. That was one thing I did find annoying with Sony cameras. I don't know if it's a way to change that. If it is, let me know in the comments down below. On the mode dial, you can set up 3 custom modes ranging from C1, C2, and C3. I have yet to set mine up. The image quality is great. I think it's top notch. It's a full frame 24.2 megapixel camera. I shoot everything on this camera in manual. If you need more than 24 megapixels, I say go for it. You can go to the EOS R, or you can go to the R5, which right now, depending on when you look, the R5 costs around, I want to say $2,000, and previously it was like a $4,000 camera if I'm not mistaken. You go to MPB, Adorama, you can go Facebook Marketplace. Be careful, you know, on Facebook Marketplace. Stay safe, and you buy stuff at your own risk. Also, there's the Sony A7 IV that has what, 33 megapixels if I'm not mistaken. So there's a great option there. These two cameras, I would say they compete, but I would say there's a price difference, because depending on where you look, you can get the R6 Mark II for about the same price as a used R5. But depending on where you look, I believe you can get the R6 Mark II for about $2,000, whereas the A7 IV still probably, if I'm not mistaken, goes for around $2,200, $2,300, $2,400. Depending on where you look, you could probably get it used for about $2,000. Maybe. That's pushing it. Regardless, 24 megapixels is enough. The lenses I use the most on this camera are my EF 16-35 with the adapter, and also my RF 50mm 1.2. And that's coming from somebody that primarily shot everything with an A7 IV and a Sigma 35 1.4. I've used the RF 24 to 105 f2.8 lens. I gotta say it's a hefty lens, but I will say is for video it's great. I haven't used it for photos, so I can't share that video yet, but just know it's a work in progress. Let's talk about battery life. The battery life is okay in this camera. I go about 2.5, 3 batteries on a full 8 to 10 hour wedding day, and I do have my camera in power save mode. It's just, you know, all the running around. Sometimes I forget my camera's in burst mode and make a mistake, but honestly that's on me. But since I got the LPE6P battery and Canon put out a firmware update for the R6 Mark II, I only go through a battery and a half now on a full 8 to 10 hour wedding day. The LPE6P batteries just work that great, and I only got one right now, so I'm working on getting some more, and I'll get rid of my old batteries at some point. For video and battery life, when I'm not using the small rig VB50, I was using, again, probably about 2.5 batteries depending on how long I'm using it. But again, since I got the LPE6P battery, I go through about a battery and a half, maybe. No, I go through about 2 batteries on a full 8 to 10 hour wedding day doing video. I use these cameras to shoot the Flow Factor podcast.
It's the Flow Factor. We
one
back
with Kevin
at
Taylor,
it every time.
and the other one with Michael Pinckney. And he played for the Patriots, and Kevin Taylor plays for, if I'm not mistaken, the 49ers at the time of recording. It took a while for Canon to catch up, but not having a record limit on this camera is great. The only cameras Canon have that don't have a record limit, mirrorless, that is the R6 Mark II, R6 Mark II, R5 Mark II, R5C, I believe the R3 and the R1. So every other Canon camera under have a 30-minute record limit, so be mindful of that when you're trying to do something as far as video. For video, I only use C-Log 3. I shoot primarily everything at 30 FPS unless I need to shoot 4K 60 for whatever reason. There isn't a crop at 4K 60 either. You're getting 6K resolution downsampled to 4K in this camera. With the Atomos Ninja Plus or Atomos Ninja V Plus, whichever one it is, you can get 6K ProRes RAW in this camera, but I use DaVinci Resolve, so that don't do me no good. My main gripe with this camera is the IBIS wobble in video. Like when you shoot 16 millimeters or when you shoot under 24 millimeters, I should say, you get that wobble, and like it's horrible. I'm gonna just say that. Like Canon does real good at stabilizing the center of the sensor, but like once you start to get round to like here, all around here, like, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about. If you own a Canon camera and it has IBIS, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I think it's still in the R5 Mark II, but I don't think it's as bad. But again, that's only under 24 millimeters. So with this camera for audio, I primarily use my Tascam XLR 2D for when I do sit down interviews or talking heads like this one. And I used it previously with my R5C. And because of the smart hot shoe, it allows me to power the Tascam via the camera, or I can put it in AA batteries and use it that way. And I'll use it with the Sennheiser MKE 600. I can monitor the audio in camera, or I can monitor it via the Tascam XLR 2D. Another gripe of mine with this camera is the mini HDMI port, but they fixed that with the R5 Mark II. I don't know why they didn't do it for this camera, but it is what it is, bro. The monitor I use the most with this camera is the Hollyland Mars M1 Enhanced, and that's my favorite monitor right now because I can use that monitor to when I'm doing sit down interviews. I use that monitor for wireless transmission. So I'm normally DPing, so the sound guy or the guy that owns the agency that comes out when I'm doing sit down interviews, he can turn around and see what the camera sees. Again, I don't have too many issues with this camera, but I will say this: take the time to learn the camera. You get what you pay for. If you feel that this is a good camera for you, then go out and get it. If you don't, go get something else. Let me know in the comments down below what camera you use and why you use it and what you use it for. I chose this camera over the R5C and the R5 because the file sizes are small and they're not as big. Granted, you don't get as much detail as the R5 and the R5C because those cameras are sitting at 45 megapixels, whereas this one's sitting at 24.2 megapixels. Canon glass is top tier. The colors, the image quality, and on top of that, there aren't really too many Canon shooters in my area. If I'm not mistaken, there's only like 4. If you're new and looking to get a new camera, I personally recommend the Canon R6 Mark II, specifically for price, Canon colors, and the image quality. Autofocus is great. I know I ain't touched too much on it, but I mean, it's R6 Mark II. It has the same sensor as the R3, and it's fast, it's great. I have no complaints about it. And also, let me know what lenses you use. Me personally, again, I use the EF 16-35 adapted to the R6 Mark II and the RF 50mm 1.2. Yeah, I know Canon came out with a 50 VC or 50 whatever it was, 1.4, 35mm 1.4. They've come out with a lot of glass recently, and I can't wait to try it. But whenever we get there, we get there. With that being said, y'all, I'm gonna go ahead and get up out. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, comment, hit that notification bell so you get notified when I upload another video, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.